I think that it's also a point I'm not really understanding why we're dying on this hill. Like,
because you're being obtuse.
Stephen Miller tweets it out
because it's hyper clear why he's
being...
doing this. If Donald Trump is justifying sending the National Guard into states based off of their violent crime rates, and Stephen Miller says we can't trust big blue cities' crime rates, and Donald Trump will save it, that's not a coincidence.
Bro.
If you want to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Rinyald. And if you disagree with anything in the video, make sure you join the Discord and we can have a chat sometime. I think
hold on, before you talk, Rinyald, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Rinyald.
Which state you voted for?
I'm Rinyald. I stream. I don't share my state. I'm 21. I voted for Harris. Easiest vote of my entire life. I will say. So Murph, I think you're being obtuse. I think it's pretty clear that the point is...
I'm not trying to be obtuse. I want the actual numbers. You know I'm a numbers guy. Do you know the actual numbers? Because I just look them up, dude, and I see down 12%, down 20%, but I look up the overall rate and it looks really high. What do you got on that?
I mean, the fact of the matter is Donald Trump was praising D.C. for how they were controlling their crime like 3 months ago. I don't know why if Washington D.C.'s crime rates being high was the reason, I don't know why he wouldn't have done this 3 months ago. Or
Rinyald, agreed with you. Trump's a hypocrite.
6 months ago.
Got it.
Well, no,
it's not.
It's not that Trump's a hypocrite. It's that this speaks to his mind state. It's because this isn't actually about fighting crime. This isn't because the crime rate is high. It's because he wants more federal power.
Stupid bastard.
Donald Trump clearly just wants more federal power.
Power grab for over DC, the National Guard.
Oh, when we see it in context with him doing it in D.C., with him doing it in L.A., with him teasing doing it in Chicago, yes, it's very clear that it's a power grab, yeah.
And I actually live in Chicago, and there's a press conference that we did in support of our governor. In support of our mayor, calling out the reason why he's coming after Black cities.
You live in Chicago? You should go to Lake Michigan and swim an hour a day, all right? Eat less, swim more.
You're going to make fun of my weight.
Yes, I am not making fun of it. It's a matter of fact. Chill some Wegovy. Eat a salad.
There it is.
So Murph,
there is
you know
your
what?
uneducated...
I can't stand oath breakers.
Do we find it concerning that Donald Trump is talking about federalizing the National Guard in states where violence is high, and then his senior advisor Stephen Miller comes out and says that we can't trust violent crime statistics from blue states?
Okay, but bro, listen. I'm trying to the action regarding where he deployed them in Chicago and LA. It's still in relation to federal enforcement, right? Like he's saying that there's a federal law that they're trying to enforce via ICE, and that there's something that's hindering that federal enforcement. And that's why he's deploying it.
No, that's not what he's saying for Washington. That's what he said for LA. What he said for Washington is that there's high crime.
Yeah, but what jurisdiction? Washington's in federal jurisdiction too.
Yeah, so why is he talking about doing it for Chicago now for the same reason?
What has he done? That's what I need to focus on before what he's going to do.
You don't think it matters what he's going to do? Like if Donald Trump is coming out and saying,
I'm saying that I've heard that a lot in my day. I've heard that he's going to sell Alaska to Russia. I've heard that he's a Russian agent. I've heard all these things. I have to focus on what he's actually done because he's going to overthrow democracy.
This is why I'm saying you're being obtuse. Is because it's very clear when Donald Trump federalizes the National Guard in LA, when he federalizes the National Guard in Washington, when he's talking about federalizing the National Guard in Chicago, and he says that he's doing it because there's high crime in blue cities, but then Stephen Miller comes out and says that we actually can't trust violent crime statistics in blue cities. It's pretty clear that he just wants to take over.
Okay, there's like many things can be true at once and not true at once, dude.
Do you agree that is all true?
I'm saying this. I'm saying Trump can be disingenuous.
You stupid bastard.
Can you just...
No, it's
Rinyald, I fucking can't, bro. I fucking can't.
That's a big word for you.
Listen, we can talk about it at a different time, too, if you want to.
Dude, I'll talk about it with you, too. I want to talk about it with you. I think it's a good thing to talk about. I just can't with the fucking peanut gallery call me a stupid bastard.
You don't want to talk about it. You want to condone...
No, but Rinyald, hear me out, dude. Like, Trump can be a hypocrite. Trump can...
Okay.
Rip.
Comms check. Can you hear me?
Comms check. Comms are checked. I think we're good.
I'm really quiet.
What's that?
I'm really quiet.
I'm really quiet?
No, goddamn, am I really quiet?
No, you're actually pretty loud, actually.
Oh, am I being recorded for one of your little fucking
Yes.
little TikTok clips?
No, not for TikTok. Well, maybe. I mean, if you make a TikTok clip, it's going on TikTok, but you're on stream, yeah.
No, what do you mean if I make a TikTok clip? Like if I say something, you're gonna clip me?
If it's stupid, yeah.
I don't like that. Please don't do that.
Listen, it's gonna have to
Come
have.
on.
Listen, no special treatment, okay? I clip my friends when they say something stupid too.
No, that's not
Not a
nice.
gripper, but it is true that Jews do.
Who the fuck
See?
is that? Who the fuck is that?
That's a soundboard. I clipped one of my friends.
Dude, I had to block Scratch, dude. I had to. I'm not even joking around.
I know. I know
He-
you guys really don't like each other.
Dude, he will not leave me alone, bro. He invited me up to like something. I was like, do you know who Lucas is?
Yeah. Me and Lucas are cool.
Yeah, dude. So I think I'm somewhat cool with that guy too, right? So I'm like, I like there was like some live going on or whatever, and like they invited me up. They're like, "Yo, what do you think about something had just happened? I forget what. It was the EU deal that Trump was cooking with the
Mhm.
tariffs. It had just gone through or whatever. It just made the news. And I was like talking about it, right? And then like Scratch like they invited me up, they asked me a question, and then like without me even getting to answer, they like kicked me off, and then Scratch like started calling me like a slimy fuck. And fuck this guy. Like fuck this guy. Like
Uh-huh.
I haven't, I'm not. I've always been genuine to that dude. Like I'm never gonna be like that. And then everywhere I go, bro, every time I'm on TikTok, he fucking joins my lives. I cannot get rid of him. Do you know how I can get rid of this fucking dude?
I think Scratch just joins in whenever he sees people live. He's an antagonizer. I think you just gotta block him. I think that's the only way.
I'm gonna block him, dude. Yeah, it's like I hate being a dick like that, but like he just doesn't own up, and he doesn't fucking ever stop. Like he will not, dude. It's like a hazing. Like I can't fucking say it. All right, what do you want to talk about, you turkey?
Okay, let's talk. Okay. I think so. I saw you talking about the National Guard thing. Okay. I think that you were being, I don't know. Okay, I don't want to ascribe malice. I
Don't
think it
call
was
me
either
slimy.
it was
Don't call
either
me slimy.
it was either disingenuous or it was not knowing the situation. I'll give
Yeah.
you some wiggle room.
Yeah. Couple things on that. First
Yeah.
and foremost, those lives are, and you know this better than anyone because you're always genuine, dude. Those
try.
lives are filled with just people that just want to fucking call Trump supporters names.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they don't have two fucking brain cells to rub together. So I'm coming in there and they're talking about the National Guard, and I'm just trying to get my bearings. I haven't read anything but the headlines regarding this.
Mhm.
I know that he constitutionally is allowed to do it.
Correct.
So that's where we're at with my knowledge based on that. He's allowed to do it. His reasonings for doing it, from what I researched from that, the brief research I did was something akin to there's an issue with crime in DC.
Mhm.
People are countering back by saying, well, but you said that crime is down in DC, number one, and number two, regardless of what you said, crime is down 30% in DC.
Mhm.
All right, I'm almost done. Whenever I hear something like that, I immediately go red flag. And I go, why is it that people report things based on percentages instead of raw numbers? Because if you report on raw numbers, regardless of how much crime is going down, it can paint a different picture. Like
Sure.
if crime had gone down 30% in DC, but crime in DC was still the number one crime in America, you'd be like, okay, well, that doesn't really service anything. So
I think it does.
that's where I'm at. Not really. I mean, like that. If crime is down 30% in DC, but per 100,000 people, there's 2,000 schmurders.
Mhm.
You'd be like, that would be like double the highest.
Yeah, I would agree that
average,
that's a really, really bad problem with crime in DC. But I mean, if Donald Trump is federalizing the National Guard because he doesn't believe that DC is dealing with crime well, and we just saw a 30% drop in DC under the current leadership, I feel like that kind of undermines the narrative that DC isn't doing anything to combat their crime, like Donald Trump is claiming.
But let's try and bifurcate this into two things, okay? Because I'll just concede right away that Trump says hypocritical shit all the time, and this is one of the things where he's probably
have
been.
to
I haven't
backtrack.
seen the actual quote, that's why I say probably,
Uh-huh.
but I'm just gonna take it at face value, right?
Mhm.
That he's being hypocritical. Okay, got it. Check. Crime's not down. Crime is down or crime isn't down in DC, depending on what Trump said. He was hypocritical. Okay, got it. What's the action? Now let's talk about what's going on in DC.
Well, the problem
Right.
is that I think you're pointing. This is something that a lot of people do. It kind of transcends political grounds, where whenever somebody brings up something bad that illustrates like a mindset, they'll just say, "Yeah, that's bad," but then not actually address the mindset. So if Donald Trump is lying about crime rates or is framing crime rates in one way 3 months ago, but now framing it in a different way now that he wants to federalize the National Guard, not only is that hypocritical, that's also speaking to Donald Trump's intentions when he's federalizing the National Guard, doesn't it?
Well, that depends. Why do you think your position is that he's nationalizing the federal guard out of extreme bad faith that there's some form of what? Fascism or trying to unify authority? Is that the idea?
Yeah, Donald Trump is a unitary executive, so he wants as much power in the in the executive as he
Yeah,
can.
okay, got it. But what's it's really servicing? What's it really servicing?
Being able to crack down in blue cities and blue states
Through crime?
through federalizing the police force.
I thought the police force in DC was already federalized.
I think it's under
Am I
the command
crazy?
of the it's under the command of the. I think it's still the governor, but there's still an executive in Washington.
No,
I'm pretty sure it
there's not a
falls in
governor in DC,
jurisdiction
is
there,
there?
or
Is there a
mayor.
governor in DC?
It could be mayor, but I'm saying that it falls under jurisdiction of
No,
a
it
different
wouldn't be a mayor,
executive.
bro.
Well,
Even if there is a mayor, it wouldn't be the mayor that'd be in charge of that shit, bro.
well, why would Donald Trump have to sign an order to federalize the National Guard in D.C. if it was already federalized?
Okay, so this is where I'm at. You got to tell me if you're cool with this, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm being serious. I need to do research on this issue.
Yeah.
And I'll do it with you right now. Are you
Okay.
cool with that?
Yeah,
Or
we
is
could.
this
Yeah,
like
we
a
could do it.
debate
We can do it.
shit thing? I'm not trying to be
I can tell you what
the
I
enemy,
have.
trying to get to the bottom of it.
I've looked into it
Yeah.
a decent amount. I can tell you what I have, and we could go based off of that shared understanding.
Wait.
but-
But I want to. But I have two things I wanted to talk to you about really quick before we get into this.
Yeah. Sure.
It's super quick, super quick. So you were on the Raging Tomato. How was that?
Hell. It was hellish. It was terrible.
Dude, so were you up against Wilson? Was he there?
Wilson was not there. No, he sent his cronies.
Oh, I didn't. So the only reason I know that is because he and others use her channel.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
like saw you on there. I was like, no fucking way.
Yeah,
I've seen that guy.
I've been on Sarah's panel a couple times. Yeah.
How, so you're, it's hell? You don't like it?
In the previous times have been fine. So like when I was on there with Wick, it was pretty good. When I was on there with Pisco, it was pretty cool. This time around though, since Sarah has gotten closer with Andrew Wilson again, it's all just grilling on meta ethics in order to avoid talking about anything material. That's all at any conversation
Yeah.
with those kind of people goes down.
You got to give the devil their due. And I do agree. Like, there's many things Andrew Wilson says that I believe that are true. But he does like to get really technical.
I think he likes
You're
to
like-
derail. I think that's what he does.
You think it's a tactic?
Yes. Yeah, I can't
think he's in
imagine
it for the game.
I can't imagine a world. Well, yeah, but that's a tactic. I mean, like when people talk about debate bros, they're talking about people like Andrew Wilson and the people surrounding him. God, I wish, because there was rumor, or not rumor. Sarah told me that Rob might pop in, and God, I wish Rob would have popped in. That would have been so so much better of a conversation.
Who's Rob? I
Rob
don't know who
Knorr?
Rob is.
Rob Knorr.
Dude, no, I'm kind of new to the scene.
Rob Knorr
You
is
know,
like
I don't
one
know.
of the you'd like him. You would like him. He's one of like the main like conservative debaters around the Twitch scene, I would say. He works for Andrew. Doesn't do a lot of the
okay.
meta ethics bullshit though. Just basically he's just super autistically locked in on certain topics. He talks about corruption.
Is
He's
he
a populist
smart?
guy. He's
Smart? Or-
he's very smart, but he's also a conspiracy theorist. So most of the disagreements that people on the left get in with Rob Knorr is that he's willing to make jumps that a lot of other people aren't to prove a conspiracy.
Okay. That was cool. One day, maybe I'll hop. If I ever get on that, I'd love to do that, but I'm not a live streamer, so. But
I think
that'd
Sarah
be
lets
really
up
awesome.
Anybody, yeah, but yeah, I mean,
that's kind of crazy. I thought she was like kind of like she's at 16,000 subscribers. I thought she was way bigger than that by having such behemoths on her live.
it would seem like Yeah, it would seem like that. But I got the. So there's this guy I know. His name is Classy Neurotic. He reached out to me out of the blue one day, and he was like, "Hey," because I was debating Doge a lot at the time. So he was like, "Hey, do you want to come on for a 2v2 Doge debate on the Raging Tomato?" And I was like, "I don't know, like most of the words in that sentence, but yeah, sure." Um, and then I did a 2v2 debate with, it was me and Classy versus two guys. It was Grid One and Pentuple. And then from that point, I just built goodwill because I feel like I'm a pretty easy person to moderate.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Second point before we get into this really quick.
Mhm.
All right. I need you to realign however you think of me. I just need to, you know how people like, you know how Ann Coulter said in 2015 that Donald Trump was going to be the president? Everyone laughed at her. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone's like she's like a fucking idiot, but
Mhm.
then like she wasn't because she like had a base position on that. All right, I need you to
Yeah,
put
sure.
the same mindset with me when I
Uh-huh.
tell you that not I don't agree with much of what he says, but Nick Fuentes is gonna fucking blow up, dude. He's
I
gonna
agree.
fucking
I
blow
think
up.
he is, and that's why I need to start doing the race realism research, I guess.
Well, dude, so I mean, some of the stuff he's saying, I mean,
Be
I
careful.
can't deny. Like,
Be
no.
careful.
Here's what I mean. No. Like this, when he says that all these conservative people have got like hits out on him, I don't
Oh, yeah,
disagree.
they certainly do. I
That's what I'm
mean,
saying. Like when like when he's I listened to some clips of him and he's like, Tucker Carlson tries to take a shot at me, doesn't fucking work. Candace Owens tries to take a shot at me every time, it doesn't fucking work. Elon Musk I'm like, okay, there is something a little bit weird of all these major players going after this 26-year-old, you know?
I don't think it's that weird. I
Like,
mean, I think Nick Fuentes is the face of the alt-right movement. I think the alt-right movement is very unsatisfactory to establishment Republicans and anybody who isn't like a race realist or Holocaust denier. So it doesn't shock me that people
no,
who
dude,
aren't that,
I don't think he is the face of the alt-right movement. I don't think so.
he 1000% is. It's either him or maybe Candace Owens got grandfathered in. Maybe.
Nah, dude, I'm telling you, man, he just rubs a lot of people the wrong way. Like, I'm trying to think of a famous alt writer or something. Like, here's a prime example. I think like Jordan Peterson type,
No.
Andrew Wilson,
Not no.
uh, yeah,
Jordan
yeah,
Peterson isn't a representative of the alt-right. He's just a representative of
yeah.
the right.
I
Andrew
know he's
Wilson
not.
isn't nearly as
Yeah,
big.
yeah. Maybe like back in the day, Milo Yiannopoulos was like the alt right guy,
Yeah, sure,
in
like
my
Richard
opinion.
Spencer. Yeah, but right now it's Nick
Yeah,
Fuentes. All of the other ones fell off and Nick didn't. So it's Nick.
I mean, okay, maybe I just have seen that I've seen that guy and he's starting to blow up. And
Exactly.
how old are you again? Are
I'm
you in your 30s or your 20s?
I'm 21.
You're 20, so you're young,
Yeah, I'm
bro.
young.
Okay, so there's been a lot of there's been I talked to a lot of people that are in their young 20s, a lot of men,
Hmm.
and there's definitely like a rise of like nationalism, I think, happening,
Yeah.
and but it's particularly men.
Uh huh.
It's not women, and I've been trying to figure out why that is. You know, because when I was going through college, and there's not a big gap between you and me. There's only like 8
Hmm.
years or so. Being a capitalist was fucking cool. Like cool
Hmm.
in the sense like you were educated. You
Yeah.
know? you know?
Yeah.
And now they're like the opposite. They're like, no, like we should have government control of the market. It should just be in a nationalist perspective.
I think
I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's just because people like to a lot of those like I think a lot of politics are is driven by kind of just being a contrarian and pushing back against whatever's the establishment at the particular moment. Um and right now, I mean, the best way to push against the establishment, I guess, is being hardcore nationalist, because there's the perception that, all the super like welcoming, all encompassing left, the globalists, people just want to push back against whatever is the establishment, because they'll put basically any downside of anything that's happening right now onto the current government. They want to be the opposite of the current government, or the current, like culture. And yeah. That'd
I
be
don't
my
think
guess.
so. I don't think that's right, and I respect your position. I don't think it's a bad one. I
Because
just
I
take a
mean, like,
different position.
when I look at the rise of somebody like Donald Trump, I think the only thing that I can really attribute that to is the fact that Democrats in power were smug and everybody wanted an opposition to the current Democrats in power. So they were dissatisfied with establishment Republicans, so they just threw up somebody that kind of
Eh,
embodied everything that the establishment wasn't.
I don't. I think a disregard for the working class being, you know, relying on a position of social and cultural concern when the working class person was kind of like be just forgotten or taken a backseat to these positions about LGBTQ, trans, just cultural issues. Even if it was a minority of the Democrats' position, it certainly took up a majority of screen time.
Mhm.
That's my, that's my thought. But like further, I don't think that that's the case, Reynold. I think what's going on is that there's something happening with the fact that men and women are becoming more and more disparate ideologically at millennial and Gen Alpha, and it's harder. Why there's a disincentivization to get married, a disincentivization to have children. Men have it harder just by statistics in society. They're not really thanked in the way that they used to be. They're not really appreciated in the way that they used to be.
Well,
Um,
the that's falling into what I'm saying though is that they're put like you're saying that there's a societal pressure against men keeping them down, and I'm saying that the reason that we're seeing a giant rise and seeing things like nationalism or this this giant cultural movement is because they're pushing it back against what the current cultural zeitgeist is.
I guess, yeah, maybe we do agree. I just, yeah, it's like I mean, you're 21, so you're a part of the group. When I look and I go
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, what's it, what's the future for a man other than just being a white man as an oppressor? You're a part of a hierarchy of racial politics, and you're a part of the patriarchy, and you have to recognize that for whatever fucking I don't know. And it's
If I'm
like
being
that
real,
being rejected.
I think those kind of condemnations only really exist online. I've never lived my life as a white male. Okay, I've never, and I'm in fairly far left circles. I've never really been chastised for my whiteness or my maleness or asked to forgive my misogyny or that like that's not a world that I really exist in outside of people yelling at me online.
Okay, maybe I could see credence in that, but no, actually, because if I look at some of the major players in the Democratic Party, they're
Mhm.
of that belief system. You know,
Not
AOC is of that
really.
belief system. Really, you don't think AOC? You don't think
AOC
New School
kind of.
Democrats?
AOC kind of, but
Eh,
I don't think that somebody like Bernie Sanders or somebody like Gavin Newsom or somebody like Pete Buttigieg or someone like even Joe Biden like ascribes to any of that.
yeah, but what about the New School Democrats, dude?
The new school Democrats, I don't really that has to pan out. Like I'm not certain that the Justice Democrat types are even going to be sticking around.
Oh no.
Because I mean, as we've seen AOC develop, we've seen her move further and further away from those kind of ideologies.
Yeah, but those are still her ideologies.
Yeah, but who's to say that in 20 years that they, or even in fucking 5 years that they still will be?
Yeah, but those aren't right. But that's not. But that's then, and this is now. Like, okay, yeah, you're like in 20 years, the Democratic Party could have a different position because the young people will be the old people. But it's like,
Well, I'm
right, but
saying,
the old people 20 years ago didn't hold those positions.
yeah, but you're also saying that you're also referencing the future because I said that the current Democrat establishment doesn't see it like that. Like Buttigieg, Biden, Clinton, none of those people really go super
Right?
hard
No,
on
Grinyard,
social politics at
I don't
all.
disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. But I'm saying 20 years ago, when they were the up and coming Democrats,
Uh huh.
that wasn't their position, and this is their position right now.
That's not their position.
No, no, my God, I'm getting upset because I'm confusing the two parties.
That's okay.
Pete Buttigieg and Chuck Schumer, Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi 20 years ago didn't believe in this. They didn't spout off something about male patriarchy and white dominance. You know, their positions was AB is safe, legal, and rare. You
Uh-huh.
know, like that's the. I'm saying that this position right now, and much of what they believed 20 years ago came to fruition.
I
What
don't
they could get.
I don't think most of the things that the establishment Democrats preach are one wrong, but also like focus on the oppressor oppressee dynamics. I think that's mostly online leftists.
Okay, but what about the people that are like? What about the DNC vice chair right now? What about AOC, Mondani? Who else we got?
I mean,
Who's that
realistically,
lady
I
from
don't even know
Chicago?
if Mom Donnie is a significant political figure if his competition wasn't Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo. I mean, like,
Okay,
do you want a socialist,
but if my grandmother,
a sex pest, or do you want a fraudster? I don't know. Probably the
yeah, but
socialist.
if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all have sweets for Christmas, dude. That is the current situation, and he is a major player.
I
Just
don't think
because,
Mamdani is a major player in the like. If he tries to make a presidential bid,
fine,
he's going to be absolutely trounced, and it's probably the same thing for
yeah, but
AOC. I
that's
don't
not
think
what I'm.
she drives a lot of the national conversations, but I mean, by the time she becomes
That's what I'm
somebody,
saying.
but by the time she becomes
That's what
somebody
I'm
with
saying.
actual giant political relevance, she's probably going to moderate on a lot of those positions, like we've seen her do already.
Yeah, but I would say that these players are already major political players. I'm saying that
Mamdani
Malcolm
probably not.
Pineda. Okay, all right. I mean, right now he's making headline news and everything because he's trying to be the mayor of the the uh the financial capital of the world. Um, so I would say he's pretty big. I think the mayor of
I'm
New
not
York is
saying
pretty big
I'm
deal.
not saying he's not big. I'm saying he's not a driver of the country's Democratic Party.
No, I'm not saying he's a driver of the Democratic Party. What I'm saying is that the players in the Democratic Party that attract a lot of attention and get a lot of support are the people that are pressing a patriarchal white male oppressor oppressee relationship with the hierarchy of cultures.
Then why did Joe Biden win
Uh,
in 2020?
because he was going up against Donald Trump and he was riding off of his coattails when he was Biden's VP
Then why
or
did Kamala
Obama's
Harris not
VP.
win against Donald Trump if it was that easy to beat him?
Because Kamala Harris isn't Joe Biden. She didn't have the precedent that Joe Biden does. And number two is she's extremely unpopular amongst Democrats.
So is Joe Biden.
Not enough. No, he's more popular than Kamala Harris.
What I'm saying is that if the Democratic Party was moving super hardcore to these oppressor oppressee dynamics, why haven't we really run any of them? It seems like everybody that we run are more or less establishment Democrats, and all of the prospects right now is, I mean, AOC's kind of half a prospect. I don't see any reality where she becomes the presidential nominee. Pete Buttigieg definitely isn't that. Gavin Newsom probably isn't that.
Okay, man. Hey, listen. Your point is, why is it that when push comes to shove, when it's time to elect somebody, we always go with the traditional establishment center of left candidate, right? The Democratic Party doesn't, it can preach what it wants to preach. It can
I'm
be popular with who wants to be popular, but it doesn't and actually choose those people in the end of the day.
I mean, frankly,
All right.
I don't know what we're arguing about right now. Like, I don't know what the overarching narrative is here. I feel like I just kind of followed you down this road.
I think we got lost when we got down the Mondani thing. What I was just trying to say is that the rise of nationalism amongst young men
Mm-hmm.
is being strained by the gender gap, right? That's happening in this country, and they're wanting someone more. When I say more, they want an actual outright nationalist, I would say.
I think realistically, it's
Like,
just counterculture stuff.
I
I
don't,
really
dude.
truly, I don't think it's
Yeah,
anything that
but
crazy.
I think it's that crazy, man. I
I mean,
really
it may
do.
lead to something that crazy, but I don't like. I see no reason why, or to believe that it's any different than any other thing, of like a social movement getting super popular for pushing back against the establishment. It seems like that's where most of the
if something, no,
giant
but here's the
populist
difference,
things
dude.
come from.
There are supporting factors to why young men feel isolated in society, why they're supportive of something radical like a nationalist movement, getting rid of capitalism, trying to centralize power. Some people are advocating for a monarchy of all things. I'm saying that of these supporting factors, right? Um, low marriage rates, low SMEX rates, low dating rates, high unaliving rates.
Do you think part of it may also be that, the current elected president kind of
No,
Trojan
I
horsed
don't
his
think it has
way
anything
in,
to
and
do
now
with-
he's federalizing a fuck
no.
ton of power? You
What?
don't think that kind of
why young men are
yeah,
supportive of that?
yeah,
No,
that
I
it's
don't.
boiling the frog slowly. That I mean,
No.
he's getting people more comfortable with giant federalizations of power.
I'm saying that if that is the case, it plays an extreme minority relative to the other factors that I listed.
Really?
That, yeah, I do. I think that you have extreme isolation and loneliness with men. You have low wage earning relative to what their parents were earning at their age. They can't buy a house. They're not getting married.
I don't see a
The
world where young men not getting married is leading more towards like authoritarian nationalism than an authoritarian nationalist being in power right now.
Yeah. Well, if you push someone hard enough into an isolated position, then they're going to be supportive of something like repealing the 19th Amendment, nationalizing the country, bringing back jobs overseas, and trying to completely make abortion in all aspects illegal.
Theoretically,
So
but I
that's
mean,
not,
I feel like it's way more contributing to that, the fact that we have somebody who came in as like kind of a disruptor who's centralizing a fuck ton of power and getting people used to it. I mean, like, do you think it, like 2 elections ago, that if somebody federalized the National Guard over top of a state's governor with no request from the police, that people would just be like, okay with that?
these problems weren't rearing their ugly head like they are now. That's the difference. 2 elections ago, you could buy a home that was like of normal stature relative to your salary. 2 elections ago,
I don't understand why
I know.
the ability to buy a home would lend more to authoritarian nationalism than somebody who keeps boiling the frog in terms of authoritarian nationalism.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is that young men that are like on the cusp of millennialism and Gen Alpha, when I say cut, are hopeless.
I probably agree.
Things that feed it, right? The things that feed into their hopelessness, I've listed, and so right now, my position is that the things that I'm listed that's feeding into their hopelessness is leading to them to believe that something radical, like dude, I'm saying not like Trump, dude, not like hyperbolic Trump saying we're gonna kick all the illegals out. We're gonna do this. I'm talking someone that comes up and goes,
I understand that.
I'm gonna
I understand
fucking
the
rewrite
point.
the Constitution. Yeah.
Well, Donald Trump said terminate the Constitution. Okay, so we're not that far off.
Yeah.
We're not that
but
far
that's
off.
The difference.
But
Briniel, that's the difference, right? When Donald Trump says something like terminate the Constitution, then turns right around and tweets like, I didn't mean it like that. And then although everyone on the left is like,
he didn't do that.
You fucking hypocrite.
He didn't say I didn't mean it like that. He said what did the tweet after was literally him saying like, hey, the left is saying I want to terminate the Constitution, when I just simply said that sometimes you need to take matters into your own hands when the election is stolen from you. What else would that mean?
No, dude.
That's exactly what he said.
He recanted it, dude. He recanted it.
He reinforced it.
No, dude. He recanted it.
No, he didn't.
2 days after. Hold on. The fake news is actually trying to convince the American people that I said I wanted to terminate the Constitution. This is simply more disinformation and lies.
Do you want to read the rest of the tweet?
Sorry, that was just the headline. I'm not trying to. I don't have the tweet pulled up.
The rest of the tweet is an immediate reinforcement.
Okay, let me pull up the actual tweet. I just looked up. This is on Politico.
I can read it out right now if you want me to.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Okay, give it a second to load. Donald Trump said, the fake news is actually trying to convince the American people I said I wanted to terminate the Constitution. This is simply more disinformation and lies like Russia, 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 and all of the other hoaxes and scams. When I said there is massive and widespread fraud and deception, as has been irrefutably proven in the 2020 election, steps must immediately be taken to right the wrong. So if the step that he's talking about is terminating the Constitution, like he said in the tweet, how is that not an immediate reinforcement?
Do you think that when Trump was saying that, when he retweeted that, what you just read, do you think he was trying to nuancely say, I still mean that I want to terminate the actual Constitution?
Yes.
Okay, so then why didn't he just say it outright?
He did.
Why
in
would
the
he
first
say
tweet.
no? I'm saying right. Why wouldn't he just double down?
He did. I'm telling you, he did.
He said it was disinformation and lies.
Yeah, but then he said steps need to be taken, and the step that he listed was terminating the Constitution.
Okay, then why would he confuse the ever living shit out of us if he just wants to terminate the Constitution? He said it in the first place.
It shouldn't be confusing to anybody. He said in the initial tweet, terminate the Constitution. That shouldn't be confusing to anybody.
Ranyald, you don't think you're being just a little bit disingenuous?
No, I think you are actually being disingenuous right now.
I'm not being disingenuous. When I said this is simply more disinformation and lies, and he follows up with, I don't have it again. I can't pull up the fucking tweet, but this is more disinformation and I'm fucking. God fucking damn it. But that it's more disinformation and lies, that he's not referencing him trying to say he's trying to terminate the Constitution.
Well, when somebody says the election was stolen from me and we should take steps like rerunning the election or terminating the Constitution, and then when the media says this person wanted to terminate the Constitution, and he said, listen, that's just a lie. I just gave steps that we could take. Well, the step that you gave was terminating the Constitution. So that obviously that's a reinforcement. That's not a walkback.
Okay, then I substantively disagree with it, and I'm not being disingenuous.
Okay,
right?
but the point that I'm making
I think that when he says disinformation and lies, right? And that's what I'm. Okay, go ahead, make your point.
The point that I'm making when I say that is that you kind of just demonstrated, like we're boiling the frog when Donald Trump is continually escalating this authoritarian rhetoric and action. There's material action to back all of this up too. It seems like it's pretty clear that this is a very, very strong contributing factor to a rise in authoritarian nationalism when Donald Trump keeps messaging like an authoritarian nationalist, praising authoritarian nationalists, and acting like an authoritarian nationalist.
Okay, what I'm trying to tell you is that there are, of the many things that Trump says, many of which are hyperbolic, many of which the left doesn't think is hyperbolic and they take it as literal. Much of the time he's trolling, but if you want to interpret it any other way, that's fine. I'm saying that what they actually want, what youth want, is someone who is not hyperbolic and it can't be interpreted a word in edgewise and can't be double straight.
Whether or not he's trolling or not is immaterial.
They want
to
it.
this.
They actually want it.
I know, but I'm saying the reason that they want it is because Donald Trump keeps messaging it. It's because he keeps trying to get people comfortable with it. That's why a couple months ago he came out and said like, oh yeah, we could run for the third term, LOL, unless. And that's what he does for everything.
Dumb. I thought Orange Man dumb.
I don't think I ever said Orange Man dumb. I often call him malicious. No, that's the entire, I literally ran a panel about how I think he's evil.
That's okay. So you think he's a hyper intellectual that's trying to subconsciously worm his way into the American mind?
Yes.
And it's only working on a minority. That would only work on a minority of people the third time around. Like 5%, if that, of the people would be supportive of him running for a third term. And he's just like, well, what if I could get 45% more? I'm going to joke around and see if they nibble.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I disagree with that. I think he's trolling the absolute shit out of everybody, and he gets a kick out of it. And it works.
I think that's a convenient way. I think that's a convenient way to see it. I mean, I can't imagine a world where we're okay with the president trolling about terminating the only document that binds his power. That's nuts. And usually when you're trolling about something, it's hitting at an underlying belief, isn't it?
The underlying belief that he'd be trolling at would be that in no way, shape, or form does he actually genuinely want to run for a third term.
No, about the terminate the Constitution thing. What do you think he's trolling at when he says that?
I don't think in that specific instance he was trolling. I think what he was trying to say in that tweet was, in a situation where people can... Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. There was an ad playing on my computer. I apologize. I thought that was you talking. I'm like, why do you sound like a sassy black lady? I'm trying to say that when Trump said something akin to, we should... terminating the Constitution regarding voter fraud, he's saying that if the Constitution were to bolster something like election fraud, then that needs to be reviewed and exhausted, and we need to look at that at a critical lens because that shouldn't be allowed. The Constitution should not allow people to get away with voter election fraud. And then he walked it back because he looked at the optics and he goes, oh my God, it looks like I'm saying I'm trying to completely fucking do away with the entire Constitution. And he's like, no, I'm not trying to do away with the entire Constitution. I'm trying to say if the Constitution allowed for this thing, we should fucking not let that happen.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you the same question you asked me. Why wouldn't he just come out and say that? Instead of like the only framing that you could really get from that tweet is that he wants to terminate the Constitution. Because if he's
I
saying
think
that,
it can be framed. I think it can be framed genuinely in both ways.
no, I don't think so. And if he did want it to be framed that way, again, like, why wouldn't he just say it?
Pull up the tweet. I can't pull up the tweet.
Yep, no
I
problem.
look it up on fucking Google and it doesn't pull up.
So
I look it up on ChatGPT, it doesn't pull up.
with the
Go ahead.
revelation of massive and widespread fraud and deception and working closely with big tech companies, the DNC, and the Democrat Party, do you throw the presidential election results of 2020 out and declare the rightful winner, or do you have a new election? A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Our great fathers did not and would not condone false and fraudulent elections.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not saying that doesn't have an interpretation of him saying that if the Constitution allows for a fraudulent election, we should like figure that the fuck out.
I think the fact that he asked whether or not we should terminate the Constitution or whether or not we should declare the rightful winner, which, by the way, he took actions to pursue, or just run a new election, the fact that he gave two options that would require terminating the Constitution, no, I don't think so. I think he gave two options. He said we would need to terminate the Constitution to do it, and that would be based because the election was stolen from me. I think that's pretty clear.
Okay, got it. I view it narrowly, you view it broadly.
I mean, this falls in with all of his previous action too, though. I mean, like, he took actual actions to unilaterally declare himself the rightful winner, and then he said that we should just do it later. Why would I believe that this is anything other than him describing what he wants to do?
We can talk about it. We can talk about it, but I do feel we can't talk about it. We'll talk about it, but I just feel like every time we talk about this.
Yeah, it's a pretty big fucking deal. The fact that this dude tried to steal the election and then people voted him back in for some reason. That's pretty crazy.
What? Okay, got it. What I was trying to service, right? What I was trying to say was that young people, young men in particular, like the person that they're going to want to put into office will make Donald Trump look like Mother Teresa. Right. And then you're like, Donald Trump is no Mother Teresa, but Donald Trump is a fat.
No.
Okay, got it.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that Donald Trump is the person that is pushing the envelope so much to make ideas like that acceptable. If Donald Trump is pushing the Overton window, then people being on the far right of the Overton window that Donald Trump isn't on was still contributed by Donald Trump pushing that Overton window so far right. Or so far towards authoritarianism, I guess.
Got you. And I'm saying, okay, then argue with me or agree with me it's a symbiotic relationship. That if Donald Trump is pushing the Overton window, if as you so claim, then the isolationism that men are feeling, the lack of being able to own a property, low paying wages and jobs, high unaliving rates are all servicing this idea that we need radical change in the country so that we can do away with these things that are causing them to be like this.
I don't think I ever disagreed with that. I just said that I don't think that's as big of a contributing factor as Donald Trump pushing the Overton window.
Yeah, okay, again, we come back to I disagree. I think that I disagree with that. I think that those factors are servicing much more than Trump are to this idea that we need to radicalize the country in a major way.
I don't see I don't see how you could disagree with that, but that's fine.
Yeah, it's all I do it in the most respectful way possible.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
No. I say yeah, sure a lot. I'm not doubting your intentions right now. It's okay. Calm down.
Okay. All right. Let's get into this whole National Guard thing. If you'd like to.
Yeah, let's do it.
Pivot, or if you want to keep talking, we can keep talking.
Yeah, we can talk about the National Guard thing because I think this is super simple.
Okay, so you think he's doing lay it out for me.
I think it's pretty clear that Donald Trump is just doing this to expand federal power. It's pretty clear that Donald Trump is only going to target blue states in federalizing National Guards because he's already hit at the idea that he wants to federalize it in Chicago and LA and Baltimore and New York and Oakland. It seems pretty clear that Donald Trump is...
Wait. All of those places are a big red flag for me. Would he be would he be calling in the National Guard because they were trying to impede federal action?
He just referenced
York,
it.
LA, Oakland?
He referenced that we're not going to lose our cities to this when he was federalizing the National Guard in D.C. just due to high crime rates.
This being what?
I assume high crime rates because he brought it up in the press conference when he was talking about federalizing the Washington, D.C. National Guard for high crime rates.
Okay. So you're saying that the position that would be alleging that Trump is alleging is that he would use the National Guard only in blue states, in blue cities, where he would allege, even though it may or may not be true, that he's nationalizing them, or he's calling in the National Guard
Mhm.
To service crime, when in reality it's for a different reason.
It may be to service crime. I would just say that it's uneven, and that Donald Trump, I think we should be very suspicious whenever the federal government tries to have a super huge hand in federalizing police forces.
I agree. I agree with you completely.
Okay,
Be extremely suspicious of that.
and when
Absolutely.
Stephen Miller,
fucking let that
Stephen Miller
fly.
tweets out on the back of federalizing the DC National Guard that crime stats in big blue cities are fake, it seems pretty clear that they're just trying to create justification to invade big blue cities. I don't know why else Stephen Miller would tweet out something like that.
Well, it's the idea that, okay, I'm steel manning their position, right? Stephen Miller is saying crime stats in blue cities are fake because the crime is in reality worse than what they're reporting.
Yes, he said orders of magnitude higher. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Again, you just have to take me at face value that I haven't read any of Stephen Miller's tweets or any of this
That's
stuff.
fine. I can read the
Okay,
whole tweet if you want to work
so-
with the full context of it.
If we need to,
Okay.
but it's okay. So Stephen Miller is saying that blue cities are lying about their crime statistics.
Mhm.
Don't necessarily disagree with that. Donald Trump is saying, here's my thought when I hear something like that, right?
Uh-huh.
When I hear that they're fudging with their, do you think that the blue cities do fudge their crime statistics?
I think that's immaterial right now
Why?
because okay. We're not talking about fudging crime numbers because that wouldn't lead to crime numbers being orders of magnitude higher and being fake. And when Stephen Miller tweets this out, by the way, right at the end, he said President Trump will save it. I don't know what that would hit at. But when Stephen Miller tweets that out right after Donald Trump federalizes the National Guard for high crime, does that not hit at the idea that they're just going to make up crime statistics for big blue cities? They're saying we're going to federalize the National Guard because of high crime, but we also can't trust the crime numbers in these big blue cities. And I think the big blue cities are infested with crime. What do you think that he's going to do?
Well, I think that to answer the question, the idea would be Stephen Miller is saying that when Trump is going to save him, he's going to send in some form of nationalized troops, the National Guard, or a federal agency to take care of this, right? Take care of this quote unquote alleged crime issue, right? Okay, got it. So first, before we begin, do you think there's any credence to the position that Stephen Miller's making?
No. I mean,
I think that blue cities have higher crime than reported. What would it depend on?
What's the claim? What's the claim?
Blue cities have a higher rate of crime than they're actually reporting.
What's the evidence of that claim?
Well, I think that prosecutorial discretion is a pretty big deal. I think that when you have places like Chicago where they say that, this was the previous state prosecutor, where they say something akin to, we're not going to pursue any thief crime unless it's over $1,000 or the thieving is connected to a felony. You'd go, wait, does that mean that people are stealing items for like $700 and not being like prosecuted? That would be like, yes, that does happen.
Like that?
And yes, that
no,
was
that's
the
not what I'm
official
asking. That's not what I'm asking. I'm saying, does a theft like that contribute to violent crime statistics? I don't think it does.
No, a theft like that would contribute to more crime in an area because they know they're not going to be prosecuted for the crime.
Sure, but they're pointing to violent crime statistics to justify federalizing the National Guard, so thefts wouldn't even contribute to that.
Okay, now I do need to see the Miller quote. He's saying it's violent crime.
Miller is saying
crime that seems pretty specific.
Why would Miller tweet out about general crime statistics if right off the back of saying Donald Trump is going to save it on the day that he federalizes the Washington National Guard?
Crime? Are you assuming it's violent crime that he's talking about?
Yeah, there'd be no reason to believe he's talking about general crime on the same day that they just federalized the National Guard in Washington.
I absolutely disagree with that position.
You don't think these two things are linked?
Talking about violent crime. No, I think they can be linked. I'm saying that he's not just talking about violent crime, and you made a huge assumption there, Rinald.
Well, why would I assume that this isn't directly linked to the federalization of the National Guard based off of violent crime? Why would I not assume that those two things are linked?
Because it could be based off of crime in general. And that's what he's talking about when he's saying that blue cities are.
We
fudging
know
the
that the
numbers.
federalization wasn't based off of crime in general. We know that.
Okay, wait, but that doesn't that still doesn't mean that blue cities aren't fudging the numbers, and you're saying it only matters if it's violent crime.
Why would Stephen Miller tweet this out if it wasn't
Let
in
me
reference
ask
to
you
violent
something.
crime? No, Murph, please.
Let's get based.
Please,
Let's get
please.
based.
No,
Let's
just
get
answer
based
that
really
before we
quick.
move
Let's
on.
get based really
Answer that
quick.
before we move on.
What?
Why would Stephen
What?
Miller
The
tweet
violent
that
crime?
out if he wasn't referring to violent crime?
Because crime in general is a problem, not just violent crime.
Yeah, why did he say President Trump will fix it? What is Donald Trump going to fix about theft?
The fact that it's not being enforced.
Okay, on the day that he federalizes the National Guard for violent crime, you don't think that those two things are linked?
What is there an EO or something on this?
Yeah, I think it was a memo to Hegseth, but I don't know if it was a formal executive order, but I mean, we could look at it.
Yeah, let me see the memo.
I mean, I can read you the quote that
Leaked
Trump
memo.
Trump
Leaked
said.
memo obtained by journalist Ken. I just want to see it. I just want the primary source really quick.
Restoring
Capitol
law and
Trump
order
said
in the
news
District of Columbia.
Did you find the memo?
Yep.
I can't find it. That's why I'm asking. Can you point me in the right direction?
Yeah, it's called Restoring Law and Order in the District of Columbia.
Okay. You just went to the White. Is it at the White House?
Yep, on the White House.
The memo. Okay. All right. Gotcha.
As President, United States Commander-in-Chief, solemn duty to protect law-abiding citizens from destructive forces of criminal activity. That obligation applies with special force in our nation's capital. As Commander-in-Chief of District of Columbia, I must also ensure that all citizens can avail themselves of the right to interact with their elected representatives, that their federal government can function properly without fear of being subjected to violent, menacing street crime. The local government has lost control of public order and safety, as evidenced by the 2 embassy staffers who were murdered, congressional intern who was fatally shot, administration staffer who was beaten by a violent mob days ago. It is a point of national disgrace that Washington, D.C. has a violent crime rate that is higher than some of the most dangerous places in the world. It is my duty to our citizens and federal workers to secure the safety and peaceful functioning of our nation and federal government and our city. So that seems pretty clearly linked to violent crime, right?
Really quick. I go to section 2. The mobilization and duration of duty shall remain in effect until determined the conditions of law and order have been restored. Oh, here we go. I direct the Secretary of Defense to mobilize blah, 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 blah to address the epidemic of crime in our nation's capital. So he's saying that there's an epidemic of crime, and then he's listing violent crime as the primary reasons, or not even primary, examples that he's using to utilize National Guard. That doesn't mean that the National Guard is only going to be used to combat violent crime. Like it's the idea that if the National Guard sees someone robbing from a store,
you are literally
from the store, that they're not going to stop them.
You are the only person in the world that believes that this federalization of the National Guard wasn't because of violent crime rates. When Donald Trump cites violent crime rates as the reason that he's doing it, that's clearly why he's doing it.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not because of violent crime. I'm saying that it can be because of violent crime, but they're there. They're gonna do what they need to do if directed to do for all crime.
I never said otherwise. I'm saying that if Donald Trump is justifying sending in the National Guard based off of violent crime statistics, and Stephen Miller said President Trump will save these cities because their crime stats are fake, what do you think he's trying to justify? Why do you think he would tweet that out?
Probably because crime statistics in big blue cities are skewed.
And it's just a coincidence that he tweeted it out on the same day that Donald Trump federalized the National Guard due to violent crime rates, and it's a coincidence that right at the end he said President Trump will save it.
My position that the reason that Stephen Miller tweeted that out, and it's in direct correlation, and it's only regarding violent crime, I think is a weak point. I think that it's also a point I'm not really understanding why we're dying on this hill.
Because you're being obtuse.
Miller tweets it out
because it's hyper clear why he's doing this.
You're kind of being acute about it. I'm saying, like, why do you care so much if Stephen Miller is doing this regarding general crime or violent crime?
If Donald Trump is justifying sending the National Guard into states based off of their violent crime rates, and Stephen Miller says we can't trust big blue cities' crime rates, and Donald Trump will save it, that's not a coincidence.
Bro. Dude. Okay, imagine in freaking any city in America, in Kansas City, Missouri, if Kansas City prosecutors said, we are not going to prosecute anybody who steals anything under $1,000, right? And so then people are breaking into stores and shattering windows in the dead of night, and they're just taking things, $904 at a time, right? And they're doing it for 3 years, right? Would you then be like, and this in Kansas City does nothing about it? What would you recommend that they do? What would be your position?
I don't know if it's the federal government's job to do that, but do you understand that
breaking
and entering is I'm pretty sure that is a violent crime, isn't it?
I'm saying thievery, right?
But you were saying smashing windows, breaking into stores.
Oh my God, dude, you're really serious. Okay.
That's important. That's important. Your framing is incredibly important.
Fine. It's 12 o'clock on a Tuesday. They're walking into Apple stores and stealing the $900 phones. And they do it once a day.
If they're just stealing shit non-violently, then no, I don't think the federal government should nationalize the national, or should federalize the National Guard over the governor's head to deploy them.
Then what? If the governor, the president says, hey, we've got all these people and they keep on getting their shit stolen and you guys aren't doing anything and it's kind of an injustice because your legislature made fucking laws about this. Like, what do you think should be done?
The only option is a state police? Is that the only option to deal with nonviolent theft?
That's not the only option. I would like another option.
Okay, I would also like another option. I don't know why this has to be the only option.
So you are admitting that's the only option then?
By the way, no, I'm not admitting that's the only option.
Then what's the other option?
This is immaterial. I don't know why
What other mechanism do we have in our society that can combat this?
I don't know why you're using this to get off of the point. This is a red herring.
I'm not using it to get, it's not a red herring. I
can
tie it directly back to the point. Okay, then answer the question if it's such a red herring, and then we can get right back. We can tie it right back in.
Doesn't that defeat the point of calling it a red herring? I'm saying why would Stephen Miller tweet this thing out? Why would Stephen Miller tweet this thing out if it wasn't to justify?
I think
federalizing the National Guard in big blue cities.
What I'm trying to say, because where the tension is ultimately is this violent versus nonviolent crime thing, right?
Yeah.
Which I would even have to look
incredibly
into,
important.
Yeah, sure. Got it. It is important. I'm not even disagreeing with it. It is important to a certain degree. What I'm trying to say is that if there are laws in place and it's a law that is substantively being disregarded and people are having injury from it, right? Injury being physical, compensatory, or otherwise, and the state is not enforcing it, what happens, right? Stephen Miller's position is...
No, you're asking me if it's ever appropriate.
Really quick. Let me land the plane.
It's not relevant. You're asking me if it's ever appropriate to federalize over the governor's head. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking why would Stephen Miller justify federalizing the National Guard over the governor's head by saying that their crime stats are... And that the governor doesn't approve of it. That's why you would need to federalize the National Guard.
Yeah, does the governor allege in this theory, would the governor not approve of it because the administration is saying you're not enforcing the law? We have evidence you're not enforcing the law.
It would
Your
depend.
own state prosecutors have said they're not going to enforce the law, and the governor says, "Yeah, we're not going to enforce that law."
It would depend,
right? Like
I don't know why you're asking me hypotheticals when I'm talking about this particular thing. I'm not even talking about whether or not it's okay to do it. I'm asking you, what do you think Stephen Miller was saying in this tweet?
I think Stephen Miller, I think it's vague. I don't know if it's referencing specifically violent crime or if it's referencing crime in general. I think he's probably referencing just crime in general. That would make sense. Seeing that a substantive position of many of the alleged lies on these statistics do have to do with the fact that places like Chicago would not prosecute openly.
This is actually
thievery under
ridiculous.
$1,000.
That's actually ridiculous.
Really?
Yes.
I don't think I sound fucking crazy.
I think you do. I think when Stephen Miller, on the day that Donald Trump federalizes the National Guard in Washington due to violent crime, tweets out that crime stats are fake in blue cities and President Trump will save it. The fact that he's not talking about violent crime, which would be the predicate thing for Donald Trump to save it, is insane.
Maybe let's just take 30 seconds. All right.
Yeah.
Because yeah. All right. Do you play Fortnite?
No.
Well, you should. Okay.
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 All right.
Yep.
This is all. I mean, I'm just trying to bring the temp down.
Uh-huh.
This is all I'm trying to say, right? I'm trying to say that, yes, I agree with you that the examples Trump's listing to service the nationalization, I don't know what to call it.
Federalization. Yeah.
To federalization, is that even the right word? Anyways.
Yeah, putting in the federal government.
The activation of the National Guard in DC, right?
Well, the federalization is the right word because you're putting the ability to activate the National Guard in the federal government's hands instead of the state government's hands.
Sure, the federalization of the National Guard. I'm saying that the examples he lists here, they're all violent crime, right? Mm-hmm. It's all violent crime. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then he says that, right, in the section 2, we're gonna mobilize these people until law and order has been restored.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now is the idea that is he just saying that until we fix this violent crime problem, or is he saying that law and order in general would be restored? Right? You see what I'm saying?
He's clearly.
You think,
really?
Also, you don't think I'm not trying to even be crazy.
The thing that incites the federalization is different than what would end the federalization as well. Even if I grant that he would end it whenever law and order is restored, the thing that incited him federalizing the National Guard is violent crime.
Okay. I don't disagree with you. Those are the examples he lists, and that's what he's working on.
Okay, so Stephen Miller was not trying to justify federalizing the National Guard in other big blue cities. What do you think he was trying to do when he tweeted that out?
I think I'm not even saying that I don't disagree with that. Or I'm not even saying I don't even know how I word that right. I'm not even saying I don't disagree with that, right?
Okay.
I'm not saying that Stephen Miller is not trying to say we should utilize the National Guard in blue cities, right? Uh-huh. I'm just trying to get a perspective, a general perspective on where Stephen Miller's head is at, where Trump's head is at, and why they're doing these actions. That's how we're getting into this violent versus nonviolent crime thing. I'm trying to say that Stephen Miller is going, oh, look, the crime statistics in these cities are skewed. We could also use the National Guard to fix that because it seems that there are laws that aren't being enforced. Right? I don't even know if I disagree or agree with that. I'm just saying that's where his position is.
So do you think...
So regardless of the violent versus nonviolent thing, he's saying that the crimes in these places are skewed and they're not enforcing the law.
Do you think that the president should be the one determining what a state's crime statistics are or a city's crime stats are in order to federalize the National Guard? Like, who do you think should be the arbiter of crime stats to justify this?
The arbiter of crime? Like, I don't know what that even, like, who reviews
if we're rejecting the city's crime stats, like, why do we think that the president would have a better handle on how much crime is happening in a city in order to justify them federalizing the National Guard off the back of it?
Well, really quick, like, again, like, we don't even need to have an exhaustive review of a place like Chicago to know that the crime stats are skewed because they are using prosecutorial discretion. Like that's not even me being great. Like, that's the state prosecutor of Chicago saying, do not do this.
I'm asking you, should the president be the arbiter of what the crime stats are then?
No, it's not. When you say the president should be the arbiter of the crime stats, are you saying, like, should the president be the one that regards or disregards if the crime stat is accurate? I don't think it should work like that. I think it should be...
If we're saying the city's reporting of the crime stats is fake and high crime justifies us federalizing the National Guard, who should make the determination as to what high crime is? Because if we're just saying Trump can federalize the National Guard in times of high crime and Donald Trump gets to determine what high crime is, then it just seems like we're talking about creating a state police force.
It's not that it's fake. It's that it's by omission.
If you have that doesn't matter. That's why I'm saying if Donald Trump's determination is all it takes.
You put me on my heels and you put me in these corners, and then I do it back to you, and then you call it a red herring. So my question to you is this: how does one verify if a crime statistic is accurate?
How does one verify if a crime statistic is accurate?
Yes. Yeah.
I would probably just defer to the stats. I mean, if you think that they're skewed, because I don't know of any better way to tell what the crime stats are other than looking at the crime stats.
Hear it. The Chicago prosecutor said disregard this crime. Okay, so now when you look at a crime statistic and you go, well, the state prosecutor of Chicago said disregard this crime. So when I look at the statistic, how do I know if it's accurate or not?
What do you think?
Oh, you fucking can't.
Who do you think has more special interest in saying whether or not the crime stats are higher, between somebody who wants to federalize the National Guard like that, or someone using prosecutorial discretion?
What I just told you this, right? I just gave you an example with that had substance to it. How then would we verify the accuracy or inaccuracy of that statistic if that is the case?
I'm not saying that the statistics are perfect. I'm saying that going based off of those statistics is better than going based off of the president's judgment alone. That's all I'm saying.
I don't disagree. Okay, I don't know if that's necessarily true in light of the fact that those statistics are, by admission, not accurate by the state that produced them.
So why would we trust the federal? If Donald Trump is saying we can federalize the National Guard in times of high crime, and I get to determine what high crime is, then what is going to stop him from federalizing the National Guard across the entire fucking country?
No, what I'm trying to ask you,
Nothing?
right? Okay, I agree with you. Okay, let's just go down your theoretical, right? The president shouldn't do that. Okay. Who does it then? Who?
You should go based off of the reported crime stats. It's not perfect. I agree. You would have to demonstrate how fucked they are.
My fucking point, dude.
I know what your point is. I'm saying that I agree that is skewed.
You're just saying we can say statistics, but the statistics are fucked.
There's a difference between being skewed and being fucked. We can say that they're flawed. All statistics gathering crime is going to be flawed because you're not going to be able to find all crime. No shit. Crime stats are not perfect, but it's better than just personal. I think that crime is high here, so I'm going to use unilateral action based off of it.
Ranyald, let me ask you this. When there is a prosecutor office in the country, they don't have enough people in order to prosecute there's one person in office that services like 50,000 people.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Under the Sixth Amendment, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay, what do we do?
In the case that there's one person in the prosecutor's office?
Yes. Yeah.
Probably hire more?
Okay, you can't. Let's say you can't, which is, by the way, before you say that's ridiculous, that's certainly the case. It's happened many times before in this country. There's a prosecutor shortage across the nation.
It's been the case that there's one prosecutor in the...
Yeah, Wisconsin, I think. It was a district of, 60 or 70,000 people? Prosecutor's office of 60 people.
I don't even know what question what answer you're trying to get out of me.
I'm trying to figure out what is you're saying it shouldn't be the president. I'm saying that, it shouldn't be the executive, right?
I think
you kind of made it even, right, you're like, not the president, of course not the president, right?
Uh-huh.
Not the executive, not the enforcement branch of the federal government. Like who then? Congress? The judiciary?
No, I'm not saying it has to be completely out of the executive. I'm saying it shouldn't be the federal government.
That would necessitate it's out of the federal government. If it's out of the federal government, then it's out of the executive.
There are state executives.
Okay, right. So the governor, right? The governor of the state, right? So the governor, I'm just
or
walking up
the prosecutors, yeah,
so
sure.
the governor, well, no, you can't say the prosecutors because there are none, right? That's the problem. That would be the crux of the issue. So it goes up to the governor, right? Which would be like, no, we should do it for the state executive. So the governor gets in, and what's the governor to do?
Okay, so I don't even understand how this is analogous. Are you saying that there are where your claim as to how?
What I'm trying to say is what happens when the state fails its constituents regarding a law passed by the legislature.
We can have that conversation. That's not what's happening right now.
What do you mean that's not? That's what they're alleging is happening.
Yeah, that's what Donald Trump is basically alleging is happening.
Okay, so
it's not the case.
Relevant.
It's not the case that there's one prosecutor in L.A. or DC.
No. It is relevant. You can make the argument, and you can have a valid one at that there's not enough evidence to support him doing that. But the process itself, which is what you're also arguing, which is it shouldn't be POTUS. And I'm saying if not POTUS, then who? Like you're making two
you could
points.
say
You're
the
like, there's
no.
not enough
You could say
evidence,
the
and it shouldn't be
prosecutor.
POTUS.
You could say the prosecutor. The only reason that you're saying I can't say the prosecutor in this hypothetical is because there's one person in the fucking whole office. Okay, you can say the prosecutor.
What do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean the prosecutor? Like,
we can look up. We can look up how are crime stats typically tracked.
Not by the no. You're missing my point. When you say the prosecutor should be the one that enforces the laws, and I'm trying to say what happens when the prosecutor is using prosecutorial discretion, which prosecutors use. There's entire fucking divisions of prosecutors that decide whether or not something should go to court. Okay. Like, and they're like disregarding the legislature, right?
Again, okay.
And then so then the governor, who would be the enforcement agency of the state, is letting that happen.
I'm not
Then
saying
what
that
happens?
I'm not saying that the collection of these crime stats is perfect. Okay, I'm not saying that this is infallible. I'm saying that this way of collecting our crime stats is better than throwing a bologna sandwich at a number and then just going with that number for the crime stats. There are obviously better ways to track crime than like what do you think is going to more accurately describe the state of crime in a particular city between the city reporting it or Donald Trump determining it?
What I'm trying to tell you, right, is if Stephen Miller's tweet regarding the crime stats is
what's going to be a more reliable way at telling the crime stats of a city between the numbers that they report or Donald Trump just determining it?
Okay, I'll answer it directly. It would be the numbers they report, right?
Okay,
it would be, right?
Okay, I agree.
So then, So let me ask you this: how reliable are those statistics when you then find out when they're reporting that crime is down? Right? This is saying crime is down. But crime's not really down because they're not prosecuting the crime. They're just going off of what's prosecuted.
Are you saying that the only reason that crime went down 25% in DC is because they stopped prosecuting it?
No, I'm not saying that.
Then what are you saying?
Stephen Miller is saying that the crime statistics in cities are not accurate, right? The crime statistics in those cities, what they're reporting obviously would be that crime is down, right? If the crime statistics were saying crime is up, then there would be no need for Trump to send in the National Guard because they'd be having to do something about that. Like, why would he say that? Like, so the report is saying that crime is down. Stephen Miller is saying that's a lie. So you're saying, well, it's not the best data. I'm saying Miller. If that data is being serviced by them using prosecutorial discretion, when there's legislature that says that they have to do that thing, then we cannot really trust those statistics, can we?
So in that situation where they're using prosecutorial discretion, what do you think is more trustworthy between the crime stats that they report or the president's determination?
It's not what do I think is or isn't more trustworthy.
Why?
I don't trust that now.
Why is it not? Why is it not that?
How could you fucking trust that?
It's not black and white on whether or not you trust it. What do you trust more? The president's determination or the crime stats as reported?
Dude, oh my fucking God. Bro, if you're in San Francisco, and in San Francisco we used to come
you
out
just
with
keep telling me that these crime stats are not trustworthy. That's not what I'm pushing back against you on. I'm saying that we should trust these stats more than the president. Yes.
Why?
More than the federal government. More than the federal government.
Why would you trust that more than POTUS?
Why would you not? Why would you not?
Because the evidence isn't.
Because Donald Trump doesn't have any fucking idea about what's happening at these prosecutors' offices.
The prosecutors are saying that they're not doing anything about it.
Yeah, and Donald Trump doesn't know. You're saying, okay, these prosecutors aren't doing anything about it, so why not just fucking fling a bologna sandwich at a number and say that that's the crime stats?
That's you critiquing Donald fucking Trump and the POTUS saying that.
Yes!
Not the fucking fact that the statistics are fucking lying.
I know that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about federalizing the federal government. I'm talking about federalizing the National Guard.
Two things can be true at once. The POTUS could or could not be the person for the fucking job. The crime statistics could be absolute bullshit. My question is, okay, you're like, it shouldn't be the POTUS that decides that. I'm like, okay, fine.
I'm asking you, I brought up the Stephen Miller.
Who? The governor? The governor
I brought up the Stephen Miller. Oh my God, this is debate bro tactics. I brought up the Stephen Miller point to show intentionality. There's a reason why you didn't answer what you think Stephen Miller's incentives were on tweeting that out the same day. Okay, so that's why I brought up the Stephen Miller tweet. I'm not talking about whether or not crime statistics can be trusted. That's not the conversation I came to talk about. I'm literally just saying that we should trust the crime stats that the cities provide more than Donald Trump just unilaterally determining that the crime stats are high enough to go over the governor's head to federalize the fucking police. I feel like that's very reasonable.
Right, but I'm also being very reasonable, Renald. I'm saying that there is ample evidence that you shouldn't trust those crime statistics because the prosecutors used to prosecute these crimes. The crime got out of control. And they only have a limited amount of finite amount of resources.
The alternative in that situation
you have to hierarchically look at these crimes. These crimes don't cut mustard.
The alternative in that situation is just to put it in the president's hands. That's insanity.
No, I'm not saying that's the alternative, dude.
What's the alternative then?
Right now, the de facto is that the federal government and the DOJ step in.
Yes.
Right?
So you're putting it in the president's hands. Yes.
Oh my God, dude! You don't have a fucking solution. You just have critiques.
My solution on a state that I don't live in, I don't know. Okay, that's the problem. That's the problem of the people that live in the state.
Yeah, you're also not a part of the executive, but you have a solution there, which is to take it out of his hands.
Yes, because the federal government, that affects me. The state government in Washington has no effect on me. The federal government setting the precedent that we could just go over the governor's head and federalize the National Guard whenever the fuck we want to does. That's super clear.
But the president can do that, regardless of Trump.
Okay.
Like POTUS can nationalize or can federalize the National Guard if he claims a reason that's going against federal law.
That's not even true in anywhere else but Washington. But
yeah, it is.
No, that's not. You have to declare insurrection.
Okay, wait. Was the insurrection declared during the Alabama, or was it Arkansas? Was the insurrection declared during that?
What happened in Alabama?
No, in Arkansas, when the segregation issue, they tried to desegregate after Brown versus Board.
Oh, yes, I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah.
I'm pretty
sure they invoked the Insurrection Act in order to do any of the federalization. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I'm going to look this up if you need to declare insurrection to federalize.
I'm pretty sure that in order to desegregate the schools, they did sign the Insurrection Act. I'm pretty sure. It's possible that I'm wrong. It's been a little bit, but
no, you do not need to declare an insurrection to federalize the National Guard.
Where are you reading that?
I don't want to tell you.
It's ChatGPT, isn't it?
I can either confirm or deny.
Okay, that's fine. We can use ChatGPT. I just need to know what they're citing. Like, what is ChatGPT reading?
In a memento. I didn't say it was ChatGPT, but if it was, you'll give me a second.
Yes, I'll give you a second.
Here it is. The Insurrection Act of 1807 empowers the president to federalize state National Guard units only in the event of an insurrection or when a state cannot enforce its laws.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's two.
When it says cannot enforce its laws,
or an insurrection.
When it says cannot enforce its laws, what does that mean?
I don't. I'd have to look up the. I don't.
My guess is that
it doesn't define. I can already tell you it doesn't define. Cannot.
My guess is that doesn't mean that they're using prosecutorial discretion in a way that the president doesn't like. My guess is that's probably not what it means.
I actually disagree with that. I'm going to tell you why I disagree with that substantively. Right. The reason that most places, if not all places, utilize prosecutorial. There's two reasons why prosecutorial discretion. This is just coming from me, by the way. There's no source for this. There's two reasons that prosecutorial discretion is used. The first one is when you have a law that is so antiquated and so like just ambiguous and odd or weird that they're like, we're not going to do this. And we've seen that in SCOTUS before where they've been like, we're actually not going to even rule on this because this law actually hasn't been enforced ever or hasn't been enforced for hundreds of years. It's something like bringing a turtle into church on a Wednesday. You know, those really crazy random municipal laws or whatever back in the 1830s that you read on BuzzFeed. The second reason which you'd use prosecutorial discretion is because of the Sixth Amendment and because you're allowed a speedy trial, right? Or you're guaranteed a speedy trial. And that can get pretty hairy because you only have a finite amount of resources. And so these prosecutors' offices have to rack and stack. Like they have to be like, well, if there's thousands of small petty thievery going on, and then we have some felonies on the line that involve pew-pews and schmurder. Well, we're going to have to just look at our resources and go that these aren't going to make the cut. And so if they cannot enforce that law because they have a finite amount of resources, it naturally makes sense that something has to step in.
Okay,
Like something has
finite
to
amount
change.
of resources is separate than using prosecutorial discretion in a way that the president doesn't like. That's a separate thing. Finite resources I think is probably something that was intended for. So if the entire state government ends up collapsing, then yeah, you could probably federalize the National Guard in that case because there's no one there to actually enforce any of the laws. Or if all of the police officers end up dying in a giant explosion, then you could probably federalize the National Guard there because there's nobody there to enforce the laws. That's fine.
No, dude, I'm telling you, it's a little bit more serious than that, dude. Like San Francisco, they limited retroactive sentencing enhancements, bro. All right, or anything that regarded policeman misconduct. I think it was from 2020 on. They're like, do not charge for anything that is resisting arrest or obstructing police. Like that's on the books. That is a crime, and they're using discretion because they're like, we need to allocate resources appropriately.
I understand. Even in that situation, we still have stats that hit at an underlying matter. Even if you say it's not completely accurately, we could probably agree it's not completely accurately hitting at those crime statistics. That's fine. You could say it's understated. That's fine. The fact is that at least that's hitting at something. Whereas if we just leaving it up to the president's determination as to what high crime is, what low crime is, and what a state's crime rate is because their crime states are fake.
I'm not.
Then that's hitting at nothing.
That isn't what's happening though. That's not. But Trump isn't saying what they are, and in relation to what they are reporting.
Stephen Miller is.
Right. Okay. Stephen Miller. Yeah. Stephen Miller isn't saying, well, the actual crime statistic is this. Right. He's just saying that it's not what they're reporting.
Yeah, he's saying it's orders of magnitude higher, and that's why Democrats are trying to unravel civilization, and President Trump will save it.
Okay, but what I'm trying to tell you is when he's saying orders of magnitude higher, he's not trying to say that I have the number, I know this, that. He's just saying, hey, the data isn't accurate. We know that it's higher. They're not reporting it higher because they're using prosecutorial discretion.
And he said that on August 11th, he said that on August 11th for a pretty particular reason.
Okay, fine, dude. You win for violent crime. There.
No, not even for violent crime. It's because it corresponds with when Donald Trump federalized the Washington National Guard. So if he's undermining the crime statistics when Donald Trump just federalized the National Guard for high crime, then it's pretty clearly hitting at the idea that they're just going to determine high crime by themselves and they're going to federalize the National Guard on the grounds of that.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say though, dude, is I'm not. If they are doing if there is a problem in these cities, you still haven't really told me what, you're just we trust the statistics. I'm like,
what you would probably do, that's up to the voters. You would vote in different representatives. No. You would vote in different people. That's probably what would happen.
Yeah, no, dude, but the crime is still happening.
You would vote somebody in who's harder on crime.
Well, yeah, but dude, that takes time, dude.
That's true. It does take time.
So you're just going to let people's shit get ransacked while we wait for a new fucking election?
In the case that the governor's not doing anything to curb crime?
Maybe it's not even governors can't. Maybe they can't, dude. Maybe
in the case that they
only
can't,
have a limited amount of resources.
In the case that they can't, they would probably just appeal to the federal government. They would probably just say, hey, can you send the National Guard down here so we can enforce the law?
So why didn't they do that in California or in Chicago or any of the blue cities?
Because LA didn't feel like they had limited resources.
They did, though.
Why? How?
And San Francisco did.
How do you? Who are you appealing to say that LA had limited resources? I assume you're referring to the riots, right?
I was talking about prosecutorial discretion in LA.
Prosecutorial discretion is not limited resources.
Oh my God! Yes, it is. I think maybe that's
no, it's not.
Yeah. Yes, it fucking is, dude. Oh my God. Do you think that when Mayorkas sent out a memo regarding prosecutorial discretion for asylum seekers, that memo was not dealing with the fact that they have limited resources?
I would have to know the memo that they sent out. What did the memo say?
You know what I'm talking about? You don't remember the Mayorkas memo?
Nope. What did the memo
Remember
say?
this? It was dealing with the enforcement of immigration law, right? And the Mayorkas memo was simply saying we have limited resources, right? We do not have the resources to apprehend and seek the removal of every one of these non-citizens. Therefore, we need to exercise our discretion and determine whom to prioritize for immigration enforcement action. So yeah, prosecutorial discretion is a real fucking thing. And yes, it has to do with
I'm not saying prosecutorial discretion is a real thing. I'm saying that, I mean, maybe in that particular case it was due to low resources, but I mean, that also probably isn't providing a big enough reason to federalize the National Guard, right?
Rinyal, that's in so many of these cities. Okay. And this isn't even just blue cities. This is just cities across America. This is just a problem.
I just don't understand why the bar is so low to just let the federal government take over. Like what happened to the separation between the state and the federal governments?
I'm not even saying that the bar is so you're missing my point, dude. Like you're maybe you do understand my point and we just want to skirt around it. You're just like, well, we should just wait for people to get voted in. I'm like,
I'm saying we should preserve the wall between the federal and state governments. Right. That's all I'm saying.
And I'm okay, right. And I'm saying in the preservation of that wall, if you have a lot of people getting hurt in the process of doing that, and they're just waiting around to vote someone else in who can
they're not just waiting around.
The DOJ.
They're not just waiting around.
What do you mean they're not just waiting around?
In the case of DC, the crime rates were falling.
Right, but in your scenario, I'm telling
Donald Trump literally praised the leadership of DC for how they were tackling the crime rates.
I'm trying to talk to you about Stephen Miller saying that blue cities have crime that's out of control. Well, I don't know if that's not exactly what he said. He said that they're lying about statistics.
The reason that I brought that up wasn't to comment on whether or not that was true. It was the intention of him saying that.
Okay. So the intention of him saying that is just to support the idea that Trump needs to nationalize or federalize the National Guard in D.C.
To federalize the National Guard in blue states.
In D.C. Oh, okay. So we are on point. All right. So we are back to what I was saying.
No, we're not on point. We're not on point. Whoever just joined, not now. Okay.
Who is it?
Tahani is the fuck, I think that's the Uhu girl, I think.
Anyways.
Okay.
Rinyald.
Yes.
Rinyald.
Yeah.
I think we're getting a little lost in the sauce here.
I think I agree.
Or I am at least.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm saying, so are you saying that Stephen Miller is making this tweet to try to bolster Trump's decision to federalize the National Guard in DC? Or are you saying he's using it to try to potentially segue into federalizing the National Guard into other cities because they're not enforcing the law?
I'm saying that he's using it to bolster Donald Trump's ability to federalize the National Guard in blue cities, but it's not because they're not dealing with crime. It's because he just wants to have federal control over those cities.
Okay, now, so there it is, right?
Yeah.
We understand. No, tell me if I'm wrong, right? The idea is that Stephen Miller is saying, hey, crime's out of control in these blue cities. And here, I'll even give you the benefit of the doubt. It might be, but Trump doesn't really care.
Yes.
If crime's out of control, he doesn't even give a fuck because he's like, I just want to flex the muscle. Is that the idea?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Well, I would say this. If Trump wants to flex the muscle, but he's flexing the muscle in places where crime is out of control, I mean, it's going to be tough to tell which is the real reason why.
I don't think that's tough at all.
Okay, so how are you going to tell in a place like San Francisco?
Because we have a precedent for Donald Trump doing it.
Doing what?
Like we could say it's probably not appropriate in DC. We could say that it wasn't appropriate in LA.
I thought it was appropriate in LA. You didn't think it was appropriate in LA?
No.
Well, I think it was. I think it was getting out of control. I think they were shutting down the highway. They were attacking that ICE building.
Yeah, I'm not saying that there wasn't riots. I'm saying that the local police had it under control, and I'm pretty sure the local police reported that
say they didn't have it under control. Did they say they had it? They said they didn't have it under control, right?
No, that's not what they said.
What did they say?
Came out and said that it was under control.
I thought.
I mean, if they thought it wasn't under control, they would have appealed to get the National Guard. If they felt it was out of control, they would have appealed up to try and get the National Guard. There was never an appeal put out, though.
Dude, Renyald.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Do you think that governors of God damn it, sorry. Do you think that governors of states
none of the bodies, the LAPD and the LAPD and the LA Highway Patrol never appealed to Newsom.
The federal government? Okay, to Newsom.
No, they
right?
never appealed to Newsom. None of the law enforcement agencies appealed up to Newsom for National Guard.
Hold on, here we go. I got the fucking. We are overwhelmed as far as the number of people engaging in this type of activity and the things that they're doing. They'll take backpacks full of cinder blocks and hammers, break the blocks, pass the pieces around, throw it at officers and cars, even at other people. We've seen people with hammers breaking the bollards. This was the LAPD Chief McDonnell.
What was the date?
June 9th.
June 9th.
We've seen people with hammers breaking the bollards behind the federal building using concrete fragments as projectiles.
So he said that after the National Guard was already there.
Who knows what thrown at officers? There's no limit to what they're doing to our officers.
Can you send me? Can you link me? Can you link
it's
me?
From
this?
Real Clear Politics. Yeah, it's from Real Clear Politics.
We're not on TikTok. You can actually link me something now.
Hold on. Well, we have a bigger problem, which is I don't know how to do that. Hold on. What I do? I'm gonna go to direct. I'm gonna go here. Sorry, dude. I'm a fucking.
Just post it. Post it. You don't need to DM it to me. You
I'm
just
sorry.
post it wherever.
I don't know how else to do it. I'm sorry. I'm old. Forgive me. And then you can control F for overwhelmed.
Doesn't even seem like this is about National Guard.
To the people who are not
violence I've seen is disgusting has escalated now since the beginning of this incident. But what we're seeing on subsequent nights has been increasingly worse and more violent. Yeah, I viewed that as the president is like.
Why didn't this guy make any appeal? Why didn't this guy make any appeal to Newsom?
I don't know. Probably because I don't know. I could only make assumptions as to why he didn't appeal to Newsom. I think my assumptions might be valid. Fucking Gavin Newsom hates President Trump so much that
President Trump
doesn't even wouldn't give a fuck.
President Trump doesn't play a role in this right now. The National Guard falls within Newsom's jurisdiction. Why wouldn't this guy just appeal up to Newsom to deploy the National Guard?
I don't. Why do you think he didn't?
My guess is that he's probably using overwhelmed in a different case, or in a different way.
Oh, you're interpreting it differently, are you?
Yeah, but I think mine makes more sense because if he was actually overwhelmed, if his people were overwhelmed, he would have appealed to Newsom.
Maybe. I don't know. When did Trump deploy the National Guard after this was said?
Trump deployed 300 on June 8th. Prepared 500 for Marines to prepare to deploy.
Yeah, dude. June 7th, Trump signed a memo. Arrival was June 8th. Confirmed deployment began in the early morning around 6. Yeah, dude. Like even if the position is like you think, I don't think it was like the crazy. That doesn't shock the senses. You're not like, wait, they were smashing up cinder blocks and messing with the building.
I saw the videos. I know it was pretty fucked.
Yeah, they were blocking off highways, and there was a dude on a motorcycle as the fire burned in the background, flying the Mexican flag. Yeah, I think Trump is like, and they're attacking.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, and Trump's like, yeah, I'm gonna step in here. This has to do with the federal government, and I don't feel like the police are handling this well.
The National
Guard, well, that's crazy. Why? And they're like, well, we saw the flag, we saw the cinder blocks, we saw the fireworks.
Is it serious? Is it seriously the case that like 5 dudes throwing cinder blocks and shooting fireworks is something enough to federalize the National Guard and deploy 1,000 Marines?
You want me to send the pictures? Because the pictures are bad.
Those pictures, I don't think those pictures justify going over the governor's head. Nor
LOL.
does the response from the LAPD and the LA
Mostly peaceful.
Yeah, it's fun to laugh at words that I didn't say. That's true. LOL.
No, I'm not.
I'm
trying
a
to pin that
fascist.
on you.
LOL.
I'm not saying you're a fascist. Come on, I wasn't putting that on you, Renyald. I just remember.
No, I mean if we're just making up positions,
memo.
I'm just gonna call you a fascist, and we'll be good.
What? Oh my God. What? I wasn't. What do you? I'm not.
I never said mostly peaceful. I said it's just not justified.
I said you didn't say that.
Yeah, so I don't know why you brought it up then.
Because it tickled. I just remembered. I remembered that.
Yeah, and I remembered somebody at a different time saying that they were a fascist too. I remember that.
Who said that? Who said who was a Trump said he was a fascist?
No, I'm just saying I remember another time where a Trump supporter said he was a fascist. So I was this is just a convenient time to bring it up, I guess.
Okay.
Okay, so if we could actually go back to the argument.
I was talking about the ice.
I don't understand. I don't think that a cinder block in a burning car justifies going over the governor's head to deploy the National Guard and 500 Marines.
I'm saying it was more than a cinder block in a burning car. I'm saying if we look at the pictures and like if I was the POTUS and someone came in my office and they're like, hey, this is what's going on in LA, and you're like, what's going on? They're like, there's fires roaring. There's protests on the street. They're attacking ICE officials. The police can't. They're struggling like crazy. And you're like,
you know what I would say? Did the police ask for us? And they'd go, no. And they were like, okay. Did the highway patrol ask for us? And you go, oh, no. And I was like, okay. Did the governor ask for us? And they'd be like, no. And I'd be like, okay, wait for them to ask for us.
Gotcha. And then they'd be like, hey, really quick. I'm the boss of these ICE guys. How are they? Are they okay? Or are people attacking them? And they're like, people are attacking them. They're like, okay, gotcha. So I'm going to weigh those two things, right? I'm going to go, okay, this hasn't been requested. Hey, does the governor what do you ask?
Weren't they arresting people in LA?
Yeah, I think the point that I was trying to send.
Okay, so they weren't just there to protect the ICE agents.
Right, but what I'm trying to tell you, okay, yes, they were arresting people, right? What I'm trying to say to you is that in light of the fact they were arresting people, that LAPD chief said that they were overwhelmed. So if I'm POTUS and I hear that, and I too would be going like this. Donald Trump,
Donald Trump, as we pointed out, Donald Trump
go,
deployed the National Guard before this quote.
Right, but my point is that when the LAPD chief says after they've been deployed that they've been overwhelmed, you go, okay, was that a substantive deployment? Was that like crazy? Like
crazy?
Why did the
for him to say that he was overwhelmed?
Why did the LAPD chief say this? Okay, that was a little bit like we didn't need that.
I think our fundamental disagreement here is that it feels like you'd be in favor of deploying the National Guard in response to almost any riot, and I think that's insane. I think that the bar for the federal government to go over the state's head to deploy the National Guard should be way higher than it is. Than you're saying that it should be, or than Donald Trump is saying that it should be.
Hey, I'm really sorry. I'll talk to you later. I gotta go, bro.
Okay, I love you, buddy.
I love you too, man. Bye.
Okay.
I don't know how to hang up.
I'll kick you.